Well, welcome everyone for joining us to today's Lunch and Learn with ATI. We're joined with Coach Brian, and he's going to talk to us about the Lifetime Maintenance Club. Take it away.
Thank you. So I'm gonna clear the air a little bit to begin with. I'm excited about the Lifetime Maintenance Club. I've been doing it for a long time. So people accuse me of going too fast sometimes. So if I in fact start going too fast, just tell me that I'm going too fast and I'll slow down a little bit. So this is the Lifetime Maintenance Club. I am Brian Hunnicutt. I'm an executive coach with the Automotive Training Institute. We have a free shop strategy. This is recorded, so you'll be able to come back to it later. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but you can find some hidden gross profit, an average of $1,500 weekly from us. What we're going to learn today is what is the Lifetime Maintenance Club, why you should use it, what will your customers get out of it, how do you sell it, how do you market it, and then how do you price it and account for the dollars. So without any further ado, the Lifetime Maintenance Club. Like I said, I've been selling this bad boy for, I don't know, 28, 29, almost 30 years. The original Lifetime Maintenance Club was just called a Lifetime Oil Change. And we sold the original one for $29.95. And we had zero shop fee. And we sold a bunch of them, as you can imagine. And we rolled over and started changing oil on the vehicles for the first time. And we would, do a courtesy check and build an estimate and present, an upsell to the customer. And the customers would laugh at us and say, well, they hadn't even brought their wallets because it was a free oil change. So, and I'm going to mention this a number of times throughout the presentation, you can't have a free Lifetime Maintenance Club or a free oil change. You have to have a shop fee. So what we did is we immediately went to $69.95 and a $2 shop fee. We stayed $69.95 for a little bit, and we started selling a lot of them, and then we went to $89.99. And then as we progressed through the years, the more of them that you sell, the higher the price has to go in order to keep, you'll just overrun your shop. What a problem to have. You'll literally overrun your shop. So you keep the price going up. We ended up at $249.95 with a $5 shop fee. And I quit selling these 15 years ago because I've been with ATI like 14 years. So the $249.95 is still not a bad price for a regular oil change. But the Lifetime Maintenance Club, Lifetime Oil Change, it encompasses so much of your business without you even realizing it's not even funny. Car count is one of the biggest deals that we're dealing with right now. So in the big scheme of things, with COVID, with, nobody driving to work, people working from home, car count, when I first went into the ATI room, 13, 14 years ago, 80%, 90% of all of the conversations were about car count. And, how do we get more? How do we get more? And then fast forward 5 or 6 years, and half of the conversations in that room were about car count, and the other half was about employees, finding employees, keeping employees. Fast forwarded up until just before COVID, and 95% of all calls were about employees. One way or another, they'd be mentioned one time or another during one of the coaching calls. Enter COVID, and all of a sudden, car count has reared its ugly head again like there's no tomorrow. I mean, if you don't need car count, then you're one of the lucky ones, because most of the shops in the United States right now need car count, and people just aren't driving as much as they were. Now, we might be running into some good car count right now with summer starting to, come about, and hopefully we're going to see the evolution of the American road trip all over again. because a lot of people aren't going to want to fly, and there's a lot of countries that we still can't fly to. And you know, the testing and all the stuff involved in flying, you know, getting out of the country. So that means that I think there's going to be a lot more people stay inside of the United States, and hopefully they're going to be driving instead of flying. You know, so a lot of people are still not comfortable with that. And if that happens, then car count should come, you know, flying back. But the lifetime maintenance club, a lifetime oil change, will definitely make it to where your car count stabilizes and you can control your car count like there's no tomorrow. So marketing. With the lifetime maintenance club, you're not going to have to market like you have in the past once you get it going. But when you're talking about an oil change and you're talking about, you know, in market, the in market concept is straightforward and simple. What are people in market for and when? So they're in market for tires like every 3 years or so, for the week before they buy them and the week that they buy them. They're in market for a brake job every 2 or 3 years, 4 years, and they're normally in market for about 30 minutes. Whoever finds it normally gets to, you know, do it. People are in market for an alignment, like when their steering wheel shakes. But realistically, we know that has nothing to do with, you know, the alignment's pulling to right or left or even eating the tires. But, you know, people think that their steering wheel shaking, that might be the alignment. But what they're really truly in market for is either car repair or oil changes. They're in market for an oil change on a consistent, regular basis, be it by time or by mileage. So let's understand that they're in market. We want them to be in market for, you know, transmission fluid exchange, you know, for brakes, for all kinds of stuff, but they aren't. They're in market for an oil change on the most consistent basis. So let's key in on what they're in market for, and let's make it readily available and easy for them to do business with us. With retention marketing, you know, we can do the exit scheduling, which, you know, if y'all are doing it, it doesn't really work very, very good. It's hard to do. People don't want the exit schedule appointment. You know, we're doing the thank you calls. We're doing the, you know, recommend deferred work calls. You know, we're doing CSI calls. We're, you know, texts, emails, whatever. We're doing the where have you beens. But what would it be like if they actually wanted to come back in? So if you sell a lifetime maintenance club for $249.95, and their next oil change is going to cost them $5, and each oil change after that only costs them $5 for a shop fee, okay? Are they going to want to come back in a lot faster? You can say yes, okay? So think about that for just a second. They are going to want to come back. So when you exit schedule them, they're going to show back up. And if we can exit schedule by time as well as by mileage, because, and we'll get into that in a little bit as far as time and mileage, but why wouldn't they show up? They've already bought the service. So you can make it to where your retention marketing finally actually works on a much better basis the more of these that you can get sold. We're going to sell it to the customer and not the car. So what I mean by that is you can, you know, they've got a Ford, whatever, okay? And they sell the Ford or trade it in and they get another car. Well, we sold it to the customer on that car. So we didn't sell it to the customer on all of their cars. It's one per car. But in other words, if a customer owns 3 cars, then you can sell one of these to each one of the cars. But if they get rid of one of those cars and get a different car, then we're not going to charge them for the 4th car. We'll just transfer it from the car that they traded in to their new car. So this makes it to where we can compete across the board with dealers and on and on and on. But when you're going to sell it, you're selling it to the customer saying, you'll never have to to buy another oil change for any car that you're going to drive. And again, not multiple cars, but on that car, they trade that car in, buy another one to replace it, then it just transfers instantaneously. And it's so much easier to sell it. It's so much easier to keep up with it. And the customers, the one problem that we have with it is because that part almost sounds like it's too good to be true. And we all know how hard it is to sell something if it sounds too good to be true. But it's sold to the customer, not the car. But again, if they have multiple cars, it's multiple maintenance clubs that are sold, one to each car moving forward. But the new car dealers are definitely using it. They are definitely, I know that they're actually putting the price into the new car and people buy it, but the people don't know that they're buying it. So they think that it's included with the car. And then some new car dealers are, only going to 100,000, some of them for 50,000, some of them only do it for 10 oil changes. Most of the dealers around, I live in Tucson, Arizona, the dealers around here are lifetime rotation, lifetime balance, and lifetime oil change when you buy a new car here. And they're going to change the oil and rotate and balance your tires every 5,000 miles. And it's free. No, there's no $5 shop fee. There's no nothing. It's quote free. So what happens is, I'm a customer. I'm going to, one of your shops. And then I decide I'm going to buy a new car, and you're not going to see me again. Because the new car dealer is going to, change the oil and rotate and balance my tires. So why should I then come back to you? But had you sold me the lifetime maintenance club and it's going to be a $5 shop fee, do you think that I, the customer, am going to come back to you for a $5 shop fee and a free oil change, or go to the new car dealer? If you've built a relationship with me, if I trust you and I trusted you enough to give you $250 for an oil change, then odds are I'm coming back to you, even though you cost me $5 and the dealership is free. So this way we can compete against, the new car dealers getting their clutches back on us. And some of my clients are like, well, yeah, but, I don't really want them back while they're under warranty. I'm thinking, well, depending on the dealership that you're competing against, why would you ever give the dealership a chance at your customer, or anybody a chance at your customer? So take that one with a grain of salt. And how much more traction can you get with your client if you do find something under warranty and you take it back to the dealer for them? I mean, we're supposed to be here helping our clients out. So the more that you can help them out and be, they're taking care of their car, and the better it is. With COVID, we're going to have to get a lot better at time versus mileage. So time versus mileage, and it's funny, we all know that, back in the day, it's 3 months, 3,000 miles. And then it transferred to 4 months, 5,000 miles. And now some shops are actually at 7,500, which I don't agree with. I think it should be a max of 5,000 miles. 4 months, 5,000 miles. But we would say 3 months, 3,000 miles on an oil change. We would say, on a transmission, fluid exchange, we'd say, every other year, every 30,000 miles. We've always put in the time, but very few shops actually go by the time. So, I can't see any of your faces, but I mean, do any of you actually sell by time right now, big time, or are you strictly by mileage? Okay. So we're going to have to get a lot better at by time. And one of the things that I would actually have you do is sit down with your technicians, get the whole crew together, and start coming up with all of the reasons why you need to change oil, do the services, take care of vehicles by time, not just by mileage. I mean, like tires. How many years on a tire do you want to have before you're going to recommend it by time? I don't care how many 30 seconds is left on it. So, figure that out for your own shop, whatever you're comfortable with, and then let's really get moving as far as by time. Mileage is, straightforward and simple, but I mean, you can even make a video on it and put it on your website, put it on YouTube, put it on Facebook on why somebody needs to come in by time. Think about maintenance as a whole and as a group. If we're not really coming up with a true plan with and for our customers on how to maintain their vehicle, and I mean a true plan, this is how often we're going to change the oil. This is how often we're going to change your filters. This is how often we're going to change your fluids. This is when we're going to recommend an alignment, a battery service, on and on and on and on. What is it? What's the real plan on maintaining somebody's car? And we can't go off of what the manufacturer says, because the manufacturer's plan does not maintain a car. It gets it to 100,000 miles, and that's all it's designed to do. J.D. Powers, back in the day, when they went to maintenance costs per mile, as to the lower the cost of maintenance costs per mile, the higher the J.D. Powers rating went. That ruined it for everybody, as far as I'm concerned. So the new car manufacturers know that if they can get the maintenance cost per mile down, the bigger the rating from J.D. Powers, the more cars they sell. And if they can get it to 100,000 miles, then that's it. That's all she wrote, as far as they're concerned. They've done their job. Well, we know that we can get these cars at 250,000, depending on, where you're at as far as the Rust Belt is concerned. And I think North Carolina doesn't really put that much salt on the road. So y'all probably don't deal with a lot of salt. So your cars can last to 250,000 miles, 300,000, 400, depending on how well we're maintaining them and how well we've got the plan and we're letting the customers know. If it's a maintenance cost per mile, if you look at a maintenance cost per mile plan, it's going to be 15 to 20 cents per mile to maintain and repair a vehicle. So if you think about the math on it, if it's 15,000 miles a year is average, anyway, it was before COVID. I mean, I know we're down some percentage points right now as far as mileage with COVID, but we're shaking those off, and hopefully, we're coming back to 15,000 miles as an average very quickly. And if you're running 20 cents a mile, 15,000 miles, that's $3,000 per year per car. And if we're letting the customers know that it costs $3,000 per car per year, on average, some years will be higher, some years will be lower, then we're letting them at least know the financial part of the maintenance plan. And the better that we can let them know that, if they own a home, they better have a budget, to replace their roof every so often, their HVAC system every so often, their plumbing, whatever's going to happen on their house. Well, same thing with their car. They need a budget for their car, and that budget amount is $3,000 a year on average. Some cars are higher, some cars are lower, but on average, it's $3,000. So if we can actually let them know what's in it for us is we get their car and we're going to maintain their car. To replace a car, depending on the car, it's $70, $80, $1.50 a mile for the first 75,000 miles, according to Edmunds.com true cost to own. To replace it with a brand new car, it can be $1 a mile for the first 75,000 miles. A used car is 40 to 50 cents, 60 cents, depending on what you're buying. And the cost of cars are going up right now like there's no tomorrow. So it might even be higher than that right now. Whereas it only costs 20 cents a mile to maintain a car, maintain and repair it. So the more that we can educate our clients about that, and then make it easy and convenient for them to do business with us by having a lifetime maintenance club, the better it is for everybody. So let's get into the cost. So the lifetime maintenance club, we're going to sell it for $249.95, and we're going to, if it's a weird car, a European car, a car that requires different, oils or filters than normal, then it's ×8. Okay, so you take what, if you're going to sell an oil change for $100, then the lifetime maintenance club costs $800. The customer needs to see a benefit after 8 visits. For this example, we're going to go with just a normal cost. You're going to have, ABC technicians. Most of the oil changes are going to be done by the C Tech, hopefully, and we're paying them to be there anyway, so I'm not going to put the labor in as a cost. $15 on the parts as far as the oil and the filter. It's going to have a $5 shop fee on each one. It's only going to cost us $10 for the parts. So if we're selling it, if we're changing the oil every 5,000 miles and we're selling it for $249.95, the cost of the customer, $249.95 divided by 10 is 25. So there's 25 visits before it costs you money. So think about this for just a second. 25 visits before this is actually going to cost you, the business owner, money. 25 times 5,000 miles, 125,000 miles on the car before it costs you money. So at 125,000 miles, if we're replacing the shocks and struts at like 75,000, we're doing the 15K with the filters and the alignment and the balances and all of this stuff. We're doing the 30K with the fluid exchanges. We're not a lot of vehicles have got timing belts nowadays, but the vehicles have got timing belts. We're doing those. Again, the shocks and struts, where, by 125,000 miles, we've repaired some stuff on the vehicle, but if you're maintaining it better, then it's going to cost them a lot less as far as, the maintenance. But 125,000 miles, how much business have we got with and for the customer, taking care of their car? I mean, that's 25 courtesy checks that we have. 25 opportunities on their vehicle to take care of it completely. If we're going by time, because time is really important with this as well, it's 12.5 years if we're changing oil every 6 months, or 8.34 years if we're changing oil every 4 months before it costs us money. So by time or by mileage, this thing does not cost the shop money for a really long time. It will literally make oil the most profitable thing in your store. I mean, if you sold 10 of these a month, that's $2,500. And you're not going to have to actually cost any money, for the next 4 months. You're not going to change oil for the next 4 months. So you've literally made 10 grand selling 10 a month with zero cost factor. Think about that for just a second. So oil can literally become the most profitable thing in your store. So how do we sell this bad boy? I used to have a lot of fun selling them. Somebody would walk through the door. I'd never seen them before. I know I've never seen them before. And they're like, I'm like, can I help you? And they're like, yeah, I need an oil change. And I'm like, all right, great, $5. And the look on their face was just hilarious. And they're like, $5? And I'm like, oh, you don't have my lifetime maintenance club. Let me explain it. So anything you can do to get them to feel what it would be like to have a $5 oil change. Okay. And you don't have to sell this just to your quote best customers or your buyers. You present this to pretty much everybody because it's going to be risk-free, and I'll explain that in a little bit. It's truly a risk-free situation that we're in. Okay, so the main thing is letting them do the math. If you're, and I'm going to go off of some old world pricing here. I don't know what your prices are, but I like to keep oil change prices down, commodities down. You can have your labor rate at whatever you want to have it at, but have the commodity items, realistically priced. So if you go with $249.95 that you're selling it for, and you divide that by $29.95, it's literally 8.34 visits before they see a benefit. And that we're selling it to them, not the car. Again, it's going to have a car earmarked on it because we're not going to change oil on 3 or 4 of their family vehicles with just one of these lifetime maintenance clubs. So you can sell them, 4 if they have 4 vehicles in their family, and each one's earmarked on that car. And when they replace the car, then the new car that they replace it with gets the lifetime maintenance club still attached to it. Ask them, how long do you plan on driving? And I'll tell tales. I'm 58. I'm hoping I'm going to drive until I'm, 98 at least another 40 years. Well, 40 years worth of change in oil, and I won't have to worry about it for, after 8 more visits. I mean, where would I sign up for that? I mean, it's one of the easiest sales you'll actually make if they plan on staying in the area, if they plan on keeping a car, and if they plan on continuing to drive. Why wouldn't they do it? Would be more the situation. The $5 shop fee. This is key and critical. If there's not a fee in association with it, then they won't buy anything else ever. I mean, it's free, and anything that's free, you're not going to get money out of something that's free. So have the $5 shop fee, service fee, whatever you want to call it, in association with this bad boy, because if you don't, it will explode in your face. It definitely did in ours back in the day when we first started it. So don't second guess it. Don't reinvent the wheel. This one, you need to have the $5 shop fee. And this is what I meant earlier by it being, quote, risk-free. So risk-free means for your customer or for you. So program can be canceled by either party. The savings and services you receive at retail will be deducted from the regular costs, and the difference will be refunded. So say that they come in and they buy it. They have 2 oil changes, and they get transferred due to business. Their business transfers them. You would take the 2 oil changes at regular price, $29.95 each or whatever, and add them together and deduct it off of the $249.95 and give them back the difference. So there's no risk for them. Now realize after 8.34 visits after the first one, or 8 after, like, if you're selling the oil change for $100, it's $800. They do 2 oil changes, then they're going to get $600 back. But after the 8 oil changes, they're not getting anything back. It's now it's paid for itself as far as the customer is concerned. So after 8 visits, you're not going to have to pay anything back to the customer. So, at 12 visits, the customer comes in and says, I have to cancel that. I want my money back. Well, there is no money back because they've already had 12 of them, and they've gotten more money than what they were supposed to out of it. So it was a really great deal for them. And you shake their hand and tell them to have a nice life with wherever they got transferred to or whatever. But here's the key. When we're selling this, when we sell the Lifetime Maintenance Club, we let them know that we are not a free oil change company. That's not what we do. We're here to make it easy for them to do business with us, and we're willing to help them take care of the most important thing on their car, changing their oil on a consistent, regular basis, and make it to where they come in sooner than later and don't go over the time and the mileage on it. And they're going to take care of their car. Period. They don't have to buy everything that we say on every time that we say it by any stretch. But if 3 or 4 times goes by where they're not buying anything, then I'm going to remind them that it can be canceled by either party, me being one of the parties. So if they don't plan on taking care of their car, we're not here to change oil for free. That's not our business plan. And the more that you're just upfront with the customer about the cancellation, about it being either party, and explain it up front while you're selling it, that, you know, this is about helping them maintain all of their vehicle, not just their oil, then there won't be any hurt feelings later. If we're afraid of having this conversation while we're selling it, then there can be some hurt feelings later, and we don't want that. So whatever we can do to not have hurt feelings is what we really need to do. So make sure that when you're selling it, this clause is put into it. It's literally your get out of jail free card. And most, again, it's going to be hard to sell this to a non-buyer. Somebody's not going to take care of their car anyway. I mean, why would somebody, you know, spend $250 minimum on a lifetime oil change if they're not taking care of their car? We're going to utilize call ahead scheduling. Now, we're going to promote that. And if you're going to make a brochure or something on it, then it needs to be on there big time that they need to use call ahead scheduling. Because the last thing we want to do is having people, you know, just swing by, drop by going, oh, I need an oil change. I've got the lifetime oil change. I need an oil change. Okay, but you need to use call ahead scheduling, which just means that they need an appointment. I mean, you can call it anything you want, but by calling it call ahead scheduling for your convenience, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we utilize call ahead scheduling so that we can make sure that we're taking care of you. If you just drop in, then, you know, we're going to have to try and you know, jump through hoops. We can't take care of you as well. To be able to do a complete courtesy check, to be able to make sure that your car is in as good a condition as it can be in, to give you the proper time, we need an appointment on this. You need to give us the call ahead scheduling and then utilize it. And we have sold so many of these at different parts that some of my stores were booked 3 months in advance with exit scheduling because we had sold so many. And then we would have to start figuring out how we were going to, you know, be able to take in more as far as oil changes and stuff, because we were 3 months booked. And I don't expect you to do one like, you know, every 15 minutes. It depends on your shop, depends on your crew, depends on how many, you know, that you can possibly put through. But remember, if you start selling too many of these, raise the price up. And you won't sell as many the higher the price goes, and you can control how many of them are on the street. So don't forget, you know, if somebody's got, you know, a fleet of vehicles in their family, then sell it to as many vehicles as you possibly can. Speaking of fleets, it's up to you whether you want to do it with commercial vehicles or not. I have no problem doing it with a fleet account, a commercial account that is maintaining their vehicles properly. I have a huge problem with selling it to somebody that is not maintaining their fleet very well. They will just be in and out of your shop, tearing you up, and you won't get anything out of it. So be really careful who you do business with as far as, you know, fleet accounts are concerned. So right now, in the clients that I do business with, I've got a bunch of them that are actually doing the Lifetime Maintenance Club. And it's funny, since COVID, I've got a lot more that are rolling it out right now, because once again, car count kind of quit being a problem for a while, and having enough employees became the problem. And then all of a sudden COVID happened and we didn't have as many cars. So it's funny how many more of my clients I've got it rolling out right now. But I've definitely got a bunch that have rolled it out over the years. And Lee Hill Automotive, they say that I can use their name. They're in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And they sold 578 club memberships for $122,000. And the average repair order is 40% higher than non-members. So that literally means that when one of their club members comes in, they're getting 40% more per visit on average than the people that have not bought into the club. 578 club memberships for $122,000. Now, if you do the math, what they were doing, and you don't have to do this, and I don't recommend that you do it, is they would sell the first one at full price and the second one at half price. Say that you've got 2 cars in your family, they would sell the second one at half price. I don't think you need to do that. I think that it's got enough value at the $249.95. It's not even funny. And since then, they have gone up on their prices, recently especially. And through COVID, they've not had a problem with car count at all. Southside Tire and Auto, they started it on 3/11. Isn't that funny? COVID. And they sold 119 clubs for $32,000. The invoice total is 91,000. Wait, is not, I put the point in the wrong spot. It's like 911. No, they've clubbed for, the invoice total that they've sold off of those 119 is $91,000. So on 119 clubs that they sold for $32,000, the invoice total is $91,000 and the ARO is $765. $765 ARO. They've got an increase. They're 48% higher than the previous year during COVID because of the club. I mean, and 91 grand. And think about that. In 119 for an extra 32,000. I mean, how would you like an extra 32 grand in extra revenue that hasn't cost you anything to do other than the first oil change that you're doing on it anyway? I mean, that's 32 grand just in extra revenue. Some of my people are giving a percentage like 5% off labor because they're making it part of the quote club. And that's up to you whether you want to give a percentage off labor. I, again, don't recommend it, but most of my clients are thinking about their service writers and not their clients. And what would it take to get their service writers to buy into it, to sell it, not the client to buy it? They don't have a problem with their client buying it. They have in their mind, a problem with the service writers pushing it. So the more value that they can give it for the service writer, then the more value it has for the company, because then the service writers will actually sell it. Oh, and by the way, you should actually spiff your like $25 for every one sold to your front counter person, and then you'll get a whole lot more of them sold. Think about how much easier it is to sell the maintenance, the shock, struts, flushes, filters, belts, hoses, timing belt, spark plug, balance align, battery services, all of the maintenance services. Think how much easier it is to sell them if when we sell this, we're letting them know they need to do them. I mean, and people really want to do the right thing, but how many of you are actually saying that it costs $3,000 a year to maintain and repair a car? Because it does. If we're doing it completely right, and we are doing the shock, struts, flushes, filters, belts, hoses, time belts, spark plug, balance align, and battery services, along with the leaking water pump occasionally or whatever, it's $3 grand if they're driving their car. If they're not driving their car, then it's not going to be that much, but it's still going to be way more than what we think it is because of by time versus mileage, because you cannot forget about time. The vehicles on the program definitely last longer, and I mean a lot longer. I mean, until it literally rusts around their ears, why would they get rid of the car? If we maintain it properly and they take care of the, washing it regularly and cleaning it, the cars last so much longer than, I'm old. if we ever got a car to 100 grand when I was young, man, it was a cause for a huge celebration. Now my cars are lasting so much longer, it's not even funny because I maintain them properly. It creates a higher average repair order. I mean, and this is the beautiful part. I'm talking to maintenance about to my people in my my clients, and some of the service writers are like, well, the reason my average repair order is so low is because we've maintained all of these vehicles. And I start laughing, and because I have the other people in my client list that are selling maintenance for real, and the people that are selling maintenance for real have a much higher average repair order. And that you're never going to saturate your entire client list with maintenance. It's just not possible. So marketing the lifetime oil change. I come from the tire side. So we had so much co-op money, it wasn't even funny. And we did radio, we did so many newspaper, ads, it's not even funny. And we marketed, home of the lifetime oil change. That because back then it was a lifetime oil change, not the maintenance club. Home of the lifetime oil change. We put it on everything. I mean, we marketed it, and we never had anybody walking through the door saying, could I have that? I'm interested in that lifetime oil change. This has to be sold at the front counter. You can market it all you'd like, but if you don't market it and sell it at your front counter, it's not going to get sold. Now, think about, again, the consistency of having your customers come back on a regular basis. The national average is cars are coming back to the normal shop 1.7 times a year. That's it, 1.7 times a year. If you can get somebody coming back in every 4 months on appointment 3 times a year, and you can sell enough of these, your car count stays consistent. You have a predictable success situation. You know that you're on Monday morning, you're going to turn the key in the lock and you're going to have 55 or 80 cars or whatever it is that your business is set up for, that's going to show up once you've got enough of these on the street. And it's consistent. And you can actually plan on it. It's literally called predictable success. Right now, we hope that the cars are going to be there. But if you had people pay you to marry you, and you didn't have to market and spend all of those extra marketing dollars, and you had a consistent car count because of it, I mean, that's a blessing on so many different levels, it's not even funny. So exit scheduling finally works. I love that part. It works. For every one of these you get sold, it works that much better. And the customers will bring their new cars in because we didn't lose them to the dealers, like I mentioned earlier. That's critical. I don't want my customers ever leaving me. I don't care if their car is new or not. Think about, when we're selling it, the customer's vehicle, if they maintain it properly, is going to be worth more when it's sold. And if we really wanted to play the game, why wouldn't we transfer it with the vehicle and get the customer that they sold it to come to our shop and keep maintaining that vehicle? If they sell it to a private individual, why wouldn't we honor the lifetime oil change on that vehicle? Because again, we can cancel it at any time. So why wouldn't we honor it? So don't forget, you need to increase the price. Once your store is getting busier and busier and busier, the more of these you sell, the busier you will get. So, don't be afraid of increasing the prices to control your car count on a down level. Isn't that funny? I'm actually telling you to worry that you might have too many cars and you're going to have to suppress it a little bit. Accounting for the money. This is a state by state problem. Okay. Where I'm at, all I had to do was tax all of the money up front, and then I didn't have to sell the oil change for $29.95, credit $29.95 and pay the tax on the $29.95, all I did is I collected the $5 and I would just show the cost behind the scenes, one oil change with a cost behind the scenes and a $5 shop fee, and I collected $5. In the state I'm in, so long as I charged tax on the $249.95 to begin with, then I didn't have to worry about the money afterwards. Some states you don't charge tax on the $249.95 to begin with because you haven't sold any product with it. You have to account for the tax every time. So you have to get with, depending on your state, and I don't know what North Carolina is like, unfortunately, get with your state to find out exactly how the taxes work every time. And then the biggest one, what's keeping you from doing it? And I've heard so many different things, it's not even funny. The biggest one is I don't need to. Why would I give away anything for free? I don't need to do that. My customers are coming in and paying for the oil changes already. Why would I want to give them away for free eventually? Well, if we keep selling them, if you kept selling 10 a month, 20 a month from now until the end of the world, think about that for just a second. Oil becomes the most profitable thing in your store. If you're selling, I don't know, even just a couple of them, think about what's your oil and your filter bill right now? How much a month do you spend in oil, and how much a month do you spend in oil filters right now? Do the math, figure it out. And then, say you're selling, it's costing you $1,500. Well, that means you need to sell 6 of these a month to pay your oil bill, your oil and filter bill. Think about that. 6 of these a month pays your oil and your filter bill. And oil is literally the most profitable thing in your store. It's a free $1,500 a month. I mean, you want to talk about GP and how to drop money into the bottom line. This one will do it. And it's not a matter of giving away stuff for free. It's a matter of having consistent car count. It's a matter of actually having a plan, a true plan on how to maintain their car. It's a true plan. And without a true plan, then yeah, they're coming in right now, but then all of a sudden COVID happens and they don't come in as often. Isn't that weird? Whereas if we were doing it by time as well as by mileage, and we were wanting to see them every 4 months, no matter what, I still think we could have got them in during COVID, even if we had to go pick up their vehicle. So what to remember is it's the best marketing vehicle that there is. I mean, remember in market, what are people in market for? They're in market for oil changes and car repair. That's really all they're in market for. It makes oil the most profitable thing that you're going to sell, the most profitable thing in your store. It brings you back your customers on time as well as by mileage, but specifically on time nowadays. And it is the major part to an overall maintenance plan, big time. And without a plan, I mean, there's really no moving forward. And then again, our little, for the free shop strategy, there's that. So any questions, hesitations, doubts, concerns, fears?
I don't see any questions in the chat, but thank you for that. I know that we have had plenty of shops, including some of some of our members that are very interested in making the subscription style of invoicing work, and how they can see that in their shops. I think that this is very relevant, very good information to have, and thank you for that, Brian.
Okay. No problem. And my email address is B Hunnicutt. Let me put it in chat real quick so that you can actually write it. if they want to talk to any of my clients that are doing it right now, I have no problem hooking them up with any of my clients that are actually doing it, so that they're not getting it from me, but actually getting it from the horse's mouth. If you want to grab my email real quick, because again, this thing works. And the people that, the only time it doesn't work is when, you choose not to sell it. It becomes that new piece of equipment that you're not, that workout equipment that you're not using anymore, that kind of thing. Oh, you're muted.
Do you have any shops, where are the shops at that are using this lifetime maintenance package?
The two best ones that I've got is Virginia and Maryland.
Well, if they can make it work in Virginia, there's no problem. They can make it work in North Carolina. That's for sure.
Well, that's what I think. I mean, and I'm worked it in Tucson, Arizona. So Tucson, Arizona, yeah, nowadays we're a pretty big town, but 25, 30 years ago when I was selling it, we were not a big town. We weren't Bodunk by any stretch, but I mean, it doesn't matter to me where you're at. It matters whether you want to take care of your clients or not.
That's a good point. Well, thank you so much. And if anybody does have any questions for Brian, feel free to reach out to him directly. He put his email in the chat. That is B as in Brian Hunnicutt at autotraining.net. And if you didn't have that written down, no problem. Just email me and I will forward you on to Brian.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much, Brian.
No, thank you. I appreciate being here.